The first year we kind of went through this, Pete had a grade 5, 6 class, and I was excited about it. I saw the kids learning, and it was thrilling. And but as a principal, in the back of your mind is EQAO is coming in May. In May, are we going to be there? And I did mention to Louise, never to Pete, but I did mention to Louise at one point, how are we going to do? Are they going to be there? And you know what? It was a let's go with it and let's see what they're doing, because we felt the kids were learning, but we did not know how they were going to do on the scores, especially in literacy and numeracy. And when the scores came out, they were through the roof. These kids had excelled in their reading and their writing components, their understanding, their comprehension. They just excelled, and it was wonderful. And that was kind of like, okay, that's great. we're in the right spot.
I think the most important change for me was that I was much more liberated physically even to move around all day. I spent all of my day in a small group with kids. I'm hardly ever at the front anymore. I rotate through the day and I get a focus for myself to touch the work of every kid and make sure I'm helping them move along in their skills because I'm sitting right beside them. I'm no longer sort of, let's say, the font of knowledge. I'm now someone that they can come to for help with a skill that they have to work on. And I think, if I could honestly say that the most, maybe the most rewarding part of my job now is the fact that I can sit with kids, get to know them really well, and I get to know them on more levels than I used to. Like, instead of, they're not just students trying to learn, they're people I've had conversations with all day. And those conversations can go off madly in different directions, but it's good for them too, because then it feels like it's home. They have their ideas are welcome. And I think some of the creativity that comes out of that is more important than just following a set routine.
If they're working in small groups, it allows Pete more opportunity to really sit with them and find out what they know. And he's not at the front of the room talking to them. He's sitting with them and finding out what they know, and that he's able to see what they can do and then push them along.
But when we see them coming into Pete's class in the inquiry based, you see these students doing things, reading for purpose, and it's authentic, and they're going to use what they're reading in their project to present back. And you notice almost immediately, I said to Louise, there was a little boy that was here presenting, and first time I noticed a big difference with that particular boy was at the end of September, not long into the inquiry base, where he was doing presentations in Pete's class. And I can't really remember the last time I knew him to stand in front of his peers and present. And he was doing it with some expertise, but more importantly, some confidence. And that self-esteem piece, you just can't put a number on.
I like keeping digital records of everything. So each kid has a memory stick, and they're required to learn how to function files and how to keep things in order. So if we need to look at maybe pieces and review what they've done, we can simply call over, say, let's take a look at your memory stick, show me your best three, I'd like to talk about them.
You know your kids well enough, you know where they are, you know where they need to go forward. That assessment's happening all the time, and you're working with it to provide that next step programming for your kids.
The kids know that whatever they do is not going to be sitting on Pete's desk.
Yeah.
They're going to be presenting it to their peers, to town council, and so I think the quality of work that goes into that has changed. And by having the presentations, the kids see what other kids are doing, and you can just see them thinking, oh, when I do that, I'm going to do it this way. So they're always looking at ways to make it better and improve.
Because I have a good feel for what they learned in a day, at the end of every day, I don't feel the need for much to hit my desk. We have areas where we want to publish all the kids' work. The kids all share their work. So they know how they're doing. They've got a good feedback from each other, but also from me talking. We always do breakdown sessions at the end of a piece. And then in the end, you've seen it. So you don't really need to take home 3 or 4 hours worth of marking. I've also spent the day editing with the kids. So I've done a lot of my work during my school day. less worrisome report cards. You're not
Yeah.
so much worried about everything you're putting down. What you're talking about is a relationship between you and the child, and then the parent usually can pick that up
Oh, they do.
when they read that.
And that's where I get a lot of comments when the parents get the report cards from Pete's class, how much they know that Pete knows their child. They know the child's strengths, they know the child's challenges, and what he always includes next steps and what's going to be next steps to move that child forward. And it's so evident in his report cards. You know your kids,
And it's
and
easy.
you know what next steps are. Yeah, it's so natural. And you providing that immediate feedback when it's necessary, when it has some meaning, letting them know where they are, what's next steps, and it has such value. And all of a sudden they know it and they learn from it. That assessment piece, that formative assessment, has so much more value than anything else you can do. Put a C on it, put a D on it, put an A on it, fine at the end of the story. But that formative that you do every day with your students in that classroom where it has value is so critical to a child learning and moving forward.